How does the GSE, temperature EC fan controller works? Choose between 0 to 10 volt signal, or PWM pulse width modulation signal. Some EC fans provide the plus 10 volt power for a single speed potentiometer, but not enough power to drive a controller. Now you have several possibilities. You can use a classic analog 0 to 10 volts signal, and use an external power supply for the EC fan controller, if your EC fan is unable to provide enough power itself. You can use a classic analog 0 to 10 volts signal, without a power supply, but you need to make sure your fan is able to provide enough energy, to allow the controller to return 10 volt to the input of the EC fan, so that would correspond to 100% speed. In general, if you would like to use a 0 to 10 volts exit, you should always keep JP3 on. If there is not enough power from the EC fan, then you can add an external 12 volts adapter. You can change the signal on jumper JP1 according the fan to PWM pulse width modulation. In this case we don't use 10 volts as exit anymore, so we can work with lower voltage. Make sure that your fan is working in real PWM mode. We still can use the same voltage to supply power the controller, but if JP3 is on, it will require a minimum 4 mA power supply from the EC fan. You can change the signal on jumper JP1 according to the fan, to PWM pulse width modulation. If you remove the jumper JP3, you are able to run the fan controller under PWM, with 2 mA consumption. Install the EC fan controller on a wall, using the Velcro fasteners included in the package. Place the sensor at the area you wish to measure. Make sure that the sensor is not directly exposed to a heat source or stream of light, in order to obtain the most precise measurement of the ambient air. The temperature EC fan controller is a speed regulator for one exhaust fan. You can post 3 settings on 3 knobs: temperature, minimum speed, and maximum speed setting. The temperature ranges from 20 to 30 degrees Celsius. The minimum speed setting is variable from 0 to 100% fan speed. The maximum speed setting reduces the maximum allowed speed during the temperature regulation, to avoid the fan making too much noise at high rotation. On the temperature setting knob you set the desired temperature, for example 24 degrees Celsius. On the second knob you set the minimum speed of the fan, which should never be undercut during the regulation, for example we set this on 20%. At the third knob you set the desired maximum rotation speed of the fan. For example 80%. The hysteresis is a fixed value of 2 degrees Celsius. The hysteresis is the controlling range of the fan speed according to the temperature. In these 2 degrees Celsius the fan speed will change from the lowest point given from the minimum speed setting, to the highest point of the regulation 100% of the fan speed given from the maximum speed setting. As long as the measured temperature on the probe is below 24 degrees Celsius, the controller keeps your fan working at 20% speed, which comes from the minimum speed setting. When the temperature rise and exceed the 24 degrees Celsius, the fan's speed starts to increase according to the temperature in the next 2 degrees Celsius, up to the maximum speed setting. Now as higher the fan speed is, and more fresh and cold air is circulating in the room, the measured temperature will decrease again, and the fan will slow down. We call this auto-balancing of the airflow according to the temperature. The minimum speed setting is the strongest setting, and always overdrives the temperature setting, and the maximum speed setting. The maximum speed setting is stronger than the temperature setting. If you set the minimum speed to off position, the fan will stop working when the measured temperature is below the set temperature.